friends, it is Lex at LexReads. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're wrapping up July and August because, as we all know, I didn't do a July wrap up. And then also I'm just gonna give you guys like a little bit of a life update, explain why I disappeared for almost a month and a half. I only have 5 books to wrap up for the 2 months. I was in a pretty massive reading slump from about July 5th or so until the very last week of August. On like the 26th, I read 2 books and then I read another book in August. So 3 books at the very end of August, 2 books at the beginning of July. Yes. Which is not to say I wasn't like reading it all. I read millions of words of fan fiction, so I was still like reading. It just wasn't published works. And also I like started a good handful of books in July, so I'm like in the middle of a few books that I just haven't finished, so I can't wrap them up for you. So there's that. I'm going to talk about the books first, and then we'll circle back around into like life stuff. So starting with July, here we go. Alright, the first book that I read in July was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, number 3, The Titan's Curse. 5 stars. This one, God, I forgot how much I adore this one. Mainly because I absolutely love Artemis and Apollo. I think they're both phenomenal characters. I think they're both really funny in their own way. Nico is introduced, and I love Nico. Percy drinks his dumbass juice as per always. Annabeth, badass as per always. It's just a good book. It's been 2 months since I read it, so it's kind of hard for me to speak like really specifically to some of the things. I'm sorry. But all in all, 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't read the Percy Jackson series, I really highly recommend it. It's a great middle grade series. As far as like acclaim goes, I really am a little bit bitter that it isn't as huge as Harry Potter is, because hot take, I think the books are more interesting and more fun. I just have such a like weird nostalgia thing for Harry Potter, which is a whole other thing that maybe I'll talk about at some point, because as we all know, J.K. Rowling can fuck right off. She just fuck right off. Right off. She needs to stop. The other book that I finished in July was Fence Volume 2. Also 5 stars. Great book. The art in these is phenomenal. Once again, I'm going to try and find you some art that doesn't like... Okay, let's just look at like this one panel. Look how beautiful. I love the artwork. Absolutely love the artwork. I'm in the middle of the 3rd one right now. I started it in July, and I just never finished it because that was in the middle of that was when I just like slumped and then nothing got read. But yes, these books are really, really fun. If you don't know what they're about, I know I've talked about the first one when I read that one. It's a graphic novel collection following our main character, Nicholas, who is the bastard son of a world-renowned fencer. So he's the illegitimate son of a world-renowned fencer, and he has a half-brother who is the like legitimate son of the world-renowned fencer, and he goes to the best high school for fencing in the country, and he's like nationally ranked, and all Nicholas wants is to make his dad proud. His dad, I don't even think his dad knows he like exists, but we haven't like really delved into that yet, but he just really wants to be a great fencer. So he goes to this competition, gets beaten by like one of the best fencers in the country, the one who came second to Nicholas's brother, him, that's him, and loses, and then they end up trying out for the same high school fencing team, and it's queer, apparently, like rivals to lovers. I'm assuming it's them. There's no romance yet, which is like just fine for me. I'm just vibing with the fencing. Like, I'm just having fun reading about Nicholas fencing and like trying to make his dad proud. Really fun, really, really fun. I cannot wait to finish it. This really truly has been the year of graphic novels for me. before this year, I had never read a graphic novel. Well, that's not true. I read Mouse, but I had for school, but I had and V for Vendetta for school, but I had never just like picked up a graphic novel for funsies until this year, and now I'm like obsessed, and that's one of my favorite things. Okay, so then skip forward over a month of time, and I decided, okay, enough is enough. This is ridiculous. I miss reading. Every time I pick up a book, I feel meh, and I like can't finish it. So let's try something different. So I did the try a chapter tag challenge. So I picked 5 books, read the first chapter of each of them, and just wow. And it really, really worked. So the book that I ended up choosing for that was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. If you want to hear me talk a little bit more about this book, I will link that video, my try a chapter tag, down below in the description so you can check it out. It's so good. It's so good. This is a horror book. It's also historical fiction, which was fun because, as we all know, I tend to hate historical fiction, but it takes place in the 1950s. We follow Naomi, who is this basically like socialite type gal who's also an academic. She's going to school in Mexico City, who her father got this like very, very weird letter from her cousin who was just recently married and has moved to the like Mexican countryside with this like English man to live in their like weird English manor in the middle of the Mexican countryside. So Naomi's father sends her to the countryside to basically check up on her cousin and make sure everything's okay and maybe suggest psychiatric care if she thinks that it would benefit her cousin. And as soon as she gets there, she notices, first of all, how off this family is, and second of all, that something fishy is going on. So, you know, she's like, what the hell is up with this? And it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. They, like, don't talk during meals. She's having these really, really weird nightmares. Her cousin keeps talking about, like, people in the walls. It's an adventure. I didn't think it was actively, like, scary, but I really enjoyed it. The prose is just stunning. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I read it in 2 sittings. I read almost half of it, in 100 pages of it at night, and then finished it the next morning, and it broke the slump, so thank God for Mexican Gothic. Also, the cover is just absolutely stunning. And then, that very, very same day, I picked up another book from my try a chapter tag that I had read the first chapter of and was like, okay. That was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is on a secret TBR that the video will hopefully go out at the end of this month or the very beginning of October. So I don't want to say too much about it. But the one thing that I can say is that, hot take, Alex and Henry are going to live rent-free in my brain for the rest of my life. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. If you want to know more of my thoughts, because I do have a lot of thoughts and I like vlogged reading it and some things. If you want to know more about that, be on the lookout for a video later this month that has this included. I even like tabbed some quotes. I had to like get up in the middle of the night to get my tabs because I was like, what the heck? Also, I read it all in one sitting. I started it after midnight and finished it at 5 a.m. I just like committed. I'm in love. Cannot wait for Casey McQuiston's new book. We love to see some sapphics. Cannot wait. Yes. Moving on, the last book that I read in August was Neverworld Wake by Marisha Passel. Marisha Passel? I think it's Marisha. It was good, 4 out of 5 stars. It was fun. It was just a fun one. If you like We Were Liars, check this book out. The reason I was so excited about this book was because after I had my whole, like, We Were Liars is the best book I've ever read thing that I had going on, like, the beginning of, like, last year, 2019, everyone was like, if you like We Were Liars, you should check out Neverworld Wake. And it took me about 250 pages to understand why people were doing that. I was like, the only commonality is that there's a group of like spoiled, obnoxious, rich kids. But then the further in I got, the more I was like, I get it now. I get it. So yeah, there's that. It was good. 4 out of 5 stars. This is about a group of friends who have not, well, the protagonist, we follow Beatrice, who has not seen her group of friends since she graduated high school, and it is now after her freshman year of college, and she goes to spend the night with her old friends because it's one of their birthday, and they get in a car accident when they're driving back to the manor after like going into the town, and they think it was just like a close call. They get home, this sketchy dude called the Keeper comes up, tells them that they're all sitting in that moment immediately between life and death, and that they must unanimously vote on one of them to live and the rest of them are going to die. And that's like the setup for the book. It's very good. Like I said, 4 out of 5 stars. I cried. It's the first book this year that's made me cry. So there's that. Cheers. Okay, so now we get to talk about life, I suppose. In the middle of July, I made the snap decision to move up to Fort Collins with one of my best friends in the whole world, Allie, whom at this point you have seen. I will link our video. I did the like blindfolded first chapter thing where they like where someone like reads you the first chapter of a book and you have to guess what book it is. So we did that. So Allie's in that video and I'll link that down below. Yes, but she had a job up here in Fort Collins. So she was like, you should come with me. And I was like, no, I can't come with you. And then I was like, what if I moved with you? So we had about, maybe 3 weeks, but I think it was closer to 2.5 weeks to find an apartment we liked, applied for the apartment, get an apartment, pack up all our stuff, and move to Fort Collins. So basically the entire second half of July, I was still like doing school every day. I was like in college still, doing school and then trying to figure out moving. And we had a whole debacle when we moved and it was awful. And it was miserable for a little bit, and I hadn't read in like 2 weeks, and I was busy all the time, and I was like a little bit sad, and I was very stressed. And then August happened. We moved on the 2nd. We moved from Colorado Springs up to Fort Collins. I still had school for another 2 weeks, but I was applying for a job because, I was sitting there with like X amount of money just in my bank account. And I was like, okay, I have to live off this money until I can get a job. So I was like kind of stressed because I couldn't get a job and no one was interviewing me. And I was like, oh God. And I was trying to finish school. And then I graduated and I still didn't have a job. And I was just like chilling in Fort Collins and still not reading. And then last week I had an interview. Well, I had an interview process. So I applied the week before. And then I had a first interview and a second interview. And then on last Wednesday, I got hired. So yesterday, September 1st, I started my first grown-up job, which is exciting. And at the end of last week, the middle/end of last week, that was when I started reading again. And so I'm reading again. I'm more comfortable and less stressed, living at home. I've officially graduated. Yes. And a job, and like I've said a couple times, I really, really am back to normal. Videos will be out every week. Hopefully the next time I take a weird break, I'll let you know before I just disappear for 2 months. 'Cause I basically just fell off the face of the earth for a month and a half. And I really am sorry about that. I'm doing good. Nothing bad happened. I know a couple of you were like, wow, I'm so glad you're back. Or I hope you're okay. I am okay, and I'm also glad that I'm back. I'm sorry I just up and disappeared. Everything is good. We're hoping that this month goes better. I've already read a book this month, and it's September 2nd when I'm filming this. So hopefully that is indicative of how the month goes, and we're back to our normal, between 5 and 10 books a month for the rest of the year. I've read 62 books this year. My goal, when I re-updated my goal in, I think it was April, I picked 75. So I'm pretty close. 13 books left. That seems doable in, 4 months? Yeah, 4 months. That sounds doable to me. I'm sure you'll get more snippets into my life, because when I vlog and stuff, I mention things that are going on. I'm sure that will still keep happening because I like to talk to you guys about the little things. At some point when our apartment looks a little bit more homey, we still haven't decorated it all, I'll do an apartment tour just so you guys can hang. We've been filming, so this is my little bookshelf. Y'all know that I have my little bookshelf in my room. So I've been filming in front of the little bookshelf because this is all I have. So I just kind of have stacks of books in my room, just on the floor and in the closet, and I stack them up over here. And right now I still haven't found my tripod. It's somewhere in my closet. So I'm using my bedside table with a stack of books on it, and the camera is just on the stack of books. There's just books all over. But I plan on buying a bookshelf to put, I have this little wall right here in my room to put there, fingers crossed, so that this can be maybe a TBR bookshelf or something. And then I can film in front of that bookshelf. We'll see. Anyway, sorry this is kind of rambly and doesn't have that much of a point. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me over the last month and a half of my life while I got everything in order. I'm so, so glad to be back chilling with you guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow for my TBR, for my September TBR. Thank you again. I love you all greatly. Mwah.